Welcome to Season 2 of the Paper Talk podcast, where we have candid conversations with artists and industry leaders from around the world. Our goal is to share knowledge, connect our community, and elevate the artistry of our craft. Hi, I'm Jessie Chu.
Hello, I am Quinn Nguyen, and we are the founders of the Paper Florist Collective.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Paper Talk. This week, we have the lovely Kate Alarcon with us, and we're going to talk about this interesting topic about how we all got started and we did things for free. So we're going to talk about when do you do things for free? How do you turn it around and make money off of it? I'm going to start because this is something that's kind of like an interesting topic. So I'm going to put this example of when I did the cherry blossom. This is an initiative that I did on myself, and it kind of went out of control, but that's part of my personality. I like to make things really big, as everyone knows.
No, she's right. It's true.
So, I love cherry blossom, and I was like, you know what? I love cherry blossom. I'm going to share my love with everybody. And so I decided I'm going to make thousands and thousands of cherry blossom, which was crazy. I almost killed my arm.
Beautiful, though. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So beautiful. Incredibly beautiful. Insanely beautiful.
Thank you. And so what I ended up doing, you guys, was I pretty much just committed to 2 months of my life where it was a good dedication of like 12, 14 hours a day of me just cutting petals, making the stamens, and putting it all together. In the meantime, I also reached out to several different stores. I didn't even think that they would take up on the offer. I just offered them that I was going to make some cherry blossom. Would you like a window display? And you know what? I had 6 stores said yes. And I was like, holy crap, I got to make this work. And it just was a huge turning point for me. And when I first did it, it was all for free. But you know what? All these stores, and I actually had clients reach out to me, and every single display got purchased. I actually made money off of it. But it was a special situation, I would say. But that's one thing that's how I started out free. And I turned it around and I made money off of it. I probably didn't make any profit, but I did cover my labor and my materials, which is really, really important. But the biggest outcome was it really turned my career around. It really launched my company, Pink and Posy, to a whole new realm. I worked with Nordstrom. I worked with Franz Chocolate. I worked with 4 other brick and mortar stores, and I got noticed in Seattle, which was really, really what I was aiming for. So think about the goal. What was the end result that you want? And then make it happen.
Oh, I think that's a really interesting example. And I want to inject in there that in my opinion,
it's crazy. I know.
It did get crazy. It was amazing. It was beautiful. It was so organized. It was like a cherry blossom walk that she suggested that you take. So you could go into into the stores. But what I want to inject in there was that you did it for free, but it was on your terms.
Yes.
And that's different from doing for free on someone else's terms. And I think you have, like, as a paper florist, as a new paper florist, or as a creative entrepreneur, I think you have to distinguish that, because when you do it on your own terms, you're willing to do anything. You're willing to spend as much time as you want to do it. It's great that you were able to sell everything, but even just getting your name out there, people walking by, seeing your beautiful cherry blossoms, and then afterwards getting noticed, essentially. I mean, that's amazing. Not guaranteed, but it's amazing. But doing it on your terms, and I say this as personally, from a personal experience, because I did my floral ring as a window display at the paper place, also on my own terms. I approached the paper place. It was, I think, spring, because I had no commissions at that time, not until later on in the summer. And so I was like, you know what? I want to do something. I want to try something. I've never done anything really big. So I was like, you know what? I need an opportunity where I can kind of just first try to see if I like it. And then 2, to see if, I can strengthen my relationship with certain vendors. And one of them is the paper place. So I approached Heather to ask her if she was willing to have me do a paper floral ring for their window display. She was willing to actually even pay me for the materials. But I had said to her, you know what? I mean, I might want to rent it out later on. I don't want you to pay for me renting it out and me making money off of it. So I said to her, you know what? It's fine. I'll pay for everything. It wasn't that expensive anyways. I was able to budget it into the year as well. So it was fine. And I had time, right? So I made that. It was great. Reception was great. People asked about it. And then people asked me about renting it as well. So there are rental opportunities that came along because that project was so big. And I really enjoyed it. I learned my lesson though. I now know I don't like doing window displays. I don't like doing big projects like that, even though it was on my own terms. It just isn't me, but that's a personal thing. So I did get, some benefit from it, but that is in contrast to a later project I did where I did it for free, and it was for a magazine. Now, this magazine is a high-end magazine. It's a lovely magazine. It's fantastic. They had approached me to do something for them. And they had, at first it was, oh, you can give us whatever you want. It's going to be shot with models. Great. Later on, it turned out the artistic director had her own idea of what colors and what color scheme to use. And I said to her, well, my floral wreath is not in that color scheme. So unless if you want to change it, or I can maybe add something else, I won't be able to be involved in this magazine. And so she was like, oh, what if you just do a headpiece? So I was like, okay, I'll do a headpiece. I can, incorporate same flowers in it. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a little bit more work. The only thing with that was that it was clear from the very beginning that it wasn't going to be paid. So it was up to me to decide whether or not I was willing to spend the time to actually provide that piece, not be paid. I would be credited. And if I hadn't, to be honest, if I hadn't been doing what I was doing, which is the wreath, I wouldn't have had time. And I don't think I would have volunteered to spend the time to do something and make something special for a shoot that I'm not going to get paid for. And at that time in my career, I had thought, you know what? I want to be, it's a luxury magazine. Like people will look through this magazine. It's geared to weddings as well. They'll look through it. They'll see my piece. They'll want to hire me. But the more I was in this paper flower journey, the more I realized that there was no guarantee of returns for this type of work. And they also expected me to do it for free on my own time, on my own dime. And so I did end up submitting something, but it was only because I was already making a paper flower wreath where I had the same flowers. If it was like, if they had approached me and said like, we need this, can you do it by, usually it's a really short period of time too. Can you do it by 2 weeks? We're not going to pay you. It's going to be in there. We're going to credit you. But like, I don't think I would have done it because it wasn't on my own terms, because it was like, you're selling this is my venting now. You're selling a magazine. Everyone else is getting paid. The art director, the stylist, maybe not. The editors, they're all getting paid, but none of the vendors are getting paid. So you're literally being asked to give them free stuff, even though they did return it, but I still had to make it. Give them free stuff. They'll shoot it. They sell it. They make a profit, and yet they don't pay you. Like that to me, no matter what level you're at in your business, it's a personal choice, I think. But that to me doesn't seem fair because they're a company. They have a budget. And for me, it's like, if I'm not in your budget, then you don't need me to be in the shoot because you can't afford me. But granted, a lot of new paper florists feel that it's a great opportunity, and it could be. It could be the perfect opportunity in certain magazines, in certain cities at a certain time. But
you have to be
that's
the judge of that.
That's a really personal, personal thing. You have to be the judge of that. Yeah, no, I want to hear from Kate. I just want one more thing. I get asked to do a lot of photo shoots, and I'm very flattered by doing, I'm so flattered when people ask me. It's usually a photographer who organizes it, or an event planner who organizes it, or a wedding planner. And usually they round out, a group of people, photographer, stylist, wedding, whatever, whoever they want in the shoot. And I think you have to be careful of whether or not this is, one, on brand for you, because that artistic director's vision might not be. And two, how much do they want from you? I mean, do they want like a whole backdrop? Do they just want, 1 or 2 flowers? And then the other thing also is, how prominent is your flower going to be in the shoot? If it's going to be in the background, you might want to really consider it. I personally don't think it's worth the time. No one's going to see your flowers. And yet you spent hours making them for free for a photo shoot that's not going to benefit you at all. But if it's part of the deal is you say to them, I want the photographer to shoot my flowers prominently. I want photos. I need some sort of, usually you do get photos, but you want to make sure that they focus on your flowers. Maybe it might be worth it for you as a new paper florist to get those professional shots. But I have to say, I've never participated in any of those. And it's not personal. It's just my personal feeling is I sometimes feel like I get taken advantage of when that happens. So that's a personal thing. I think as long as you feel, you know what, you want to be involved, you're excited about the project, and you don't mind doing the work, yeah, go ahead, go for it. But I think you need to also consider on whose terms are you doing that? Mm-hmm. That free work.
I'm going to interject before Kate jumps in real quick. I've actually done a lot of style shoots where I was specifically gearing toward people that vendors in my particular city, wedding planners, photographers. Saying all this, I actually knew every single person as a friend, as a vendor. I think if you know who the photographer is and you have a relationship and you have a positive relationship, you can build upon that and make sure like, oh, can you take a picture of this or this? I really need the shot. I'm trying to do it for my website. Will you specifically take some photos that showcase my work in a way that I can put it on my website? If you state that at the very beginning and you have that relationship that you're able to get these photos, it's amazing. I'm going to have to shout out to Kelly Lemon Photography and Caroline Tran Photography because they both, I've worked with them numerous times and they know exactly what I want because I convey what I need from them. It's so important having that communication when you're on the same level and don't be timid to say what you need. If you're timid, they will overlook you because there's all these other vendors working on this particular style shoot. Saying that this is all everyone's not paid. Everyone's putting together to develop an end product. If you're working with like a luxury magazine, that's a whole different game, you guys. Really think about where you are in the situation, things like that. But enough about us. Let's talk about Kate. Kate, what's your thought on this?
No, everything you said is super interesting and resonates with me. Yeah, it's tough because I feel like, you don't want to feel exploited when you come up through, and you are building your career. And there are times when you feel kind of exploited. You want to tell newer people like, oh, don't let yourself get taken advantage of. But then we do tend to gloss over like the fact that, all of our careers have been benefited by free work. And in many ways, that's kind of how you get started. So yes, like on the subject of work we did for free early on, I did a window for free for the lovely Impress Arts and Crafts. Used to be in University Village in Seattle. And it was a Christmas window. So it was like amaryllises and they were gigantic and I was just going to do 3 to keep it simple and it all milled me. It was I had to do it for their 2 locations. So that made it a bit harder. But like Jessie said, it was a really good learning experience and what I don't want to do.
I have to say I love large installations.
Me both. But you wouldn't know unless you did it, right?
Exactly. Well, and the thing is, it's not, maybe what I learned wasn't necessarily that I would never want to do that, but I wouldn't want to try to do it by myself, I think is a big part of it. So that was useful to find out. I contacted Grace Bonney at Design Sponge, asking her if she wanted tutorials because she had reposted a few of my images. So I did a series of tutorials for her that were unpaid, but I mean, they totally made my career. Like there's nothing they could have paid me that would have been as meaningful to me as that exposure. But like Jessie said, that's a calculation I make on my terms with a careful, rational analysis. Like, what is it I'm trying to get from this? How can I get the most out of it? What do I want to see if I can negotiate? But there's also like a gut feeling, like, do I feel like I'm being exploited? Do I feel resentful that my work isn't compensated? Am I having a hard time feeling like a serious artist already? And this is making me feel even worse. Like, I think all of those things are part of it. But I really liked what you both said about if you are going to do it for free, like you can't really negotiate money, but there's other things you can negotiate. Like you guys said about like shots you're going to get, or how they're going to promote it. Yeah, there are a few times where I wish I had said, look, I'm happy to do this for free, but I need you to advertise it on Instagram. Because sometimes my primary mode of social media promotion is not Facebook and it's not anybody's blog. It's specifically Instagram. So there are times I wish I had said that in advance, and it would have, because what ended up happening in a few different situations is I felt sort of resentful about it. Like, I mean, how can you not know that I need this on Instagram? Whereas if I had said it from the beginning, there wouldn't have been any tone or disappointment or any history of why are we doing it this way? It would have been decided from the beginning and I would have walked into it knowing what was going to happen. Does that make sense?
Yes. Definitely.
So I think it's one of those things where it's really easy to say at our stage, don't work for free, demand every petal be compensated. And in a fair world, that would be the way to do it. And I hope someday we'll get there. But for now, I think it does people a disservice to forbid you. Like you can't have any self-respect as an artist if you give away your stuff for free. No, you barter. But the other thing is, it's also, I think, worthwhile I was working with a photographer at a certain point on a series of things. And at a certain point, she's like, maybe it's time to let someone else shine. And I think what she had discovered was, look, I've gotten everything I can get out of this project. You know what I mean? Like, as I keep going, it's diminishing returns. And so that was great for me to know, so we could just swap that out and preserve that relationship. And she wasn't feeling stressed or resentful. So I think it's good to continually assess, what am I getting out of this? What are my goals? Is this continuing to add, or is it starting to take away? Like at a certain point, there's, what do you call it?
Diminishing return.
Diminishing returns, but there was, never mind. I won't think of it. But yeah, is it still valuable to you? Are you still getting into it? Opportunity costs. There are opportunity costs. So if you're spending, half your time making tutorials for free, that's half your time you're not bringing in money, right? So, or pitching a project. The other thing Jesse said about on your own terms, in my experience, if you're working for free, when you pitch your services, you are always going to get more out of it than if someone comes to you looking for free work. Because if they come to you, they have a project in mind that they want you to help them with. So they're
they have their own agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not, like Jesse said, you might be in the background somewhere, So yeah. Those are all my thoughts on that.
No, I think it's true what you said. Like, I think free work, there is a time and place for it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, we all did start off doing some free work in some sort of way. And sometimes it is, the results are fantastic. Like, sometimes it's not. And I think, like you said, you just have to kind of evaluate and determine your parameters in terms of when you're willing to do it and when you're not. But I think it takes experience. Like you kind of have to fall flat on your face and be like, oh, I felt like I was taking advantage of that time.
But lesson learned.
I'm never going to do it again. Or like, I'm going to do it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it kind of does take some of that.
Mm-hmm.
And we can ask each other that, you could be like, hey, have you ever had a case like this? And how would you ask for payment? And would you think it was worthwhile? I mean, that's one thing that's nice about our community is, we can help each other. The other thing, this is kind of a funny reason to do work for free, but like, I think terrarium gardening is like really interesting. And I would happily volunteer in somebody's shop just to get to do it and play with it and be part of that. You know what I mean? Without having to build a whole big business to establish my name, just to be like, I want to be part of this. I want to try. I want to talk to people who are into this. That's a totally legitimate reason to work for free.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
If you're passionate about something, you're going to make it happen and it's going to have really great results. So definitely, listen to what we're saying. Understand that when you walk into a situation, make it your terms. Make sure that you have your agenda, its forefront, and you make it clear to everyone that's in the party that's involved what you need. But don't make it all about you. It's all about teamwork at the same time. So be realistic and be rational about how you approach this. And if you do fall flat in your face, don't become bitter. Look at it, see the results. Try to figure out what lessons you learn from this so you don't have to make those same mistakes again.
Well, and one thing I admire about Quinn is that when she comes to you with a project, like she wants you to whatever, she comes to you with, here's why this would be good for you. Like, here's an opportunity for you. It feels like a two-way street. And I think if you're pitching projects, that can be another good way to set the agenda from the beginning. Is like, this is how I envision you getting a bunch of cool stuff out of this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I also think, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I will so much happily feel like I'm not getting paid if I feel like they've been very upfront with me, or if I feel like I'm being kind of like, it's a really sort of low amount of money, but I know that's what they have. And they, from the beginning, are open about that.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're being straight about it. Like, it's not like, oh, we can't pay you. It's like, legitimately, this is our budget. If I feel like somebody's being straight with me, that's fine.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Lay out all your cards. Like, what do you want from it? What do I want from it? Let's work together to kind of achieve that together, get there. And I like how Quinn, she's been able to establish such like amazing relationships with her photographers, with her other vendors, and working with people that you trust. I think that makes a huge difference. Not only does do you build on that trust, but then that it really is a working relationship, as opposed to feeling like you said, maybe resentful at some point about, how you might or might not be involved in the decisions of a project.
Well, and I don't know if you guys find this, but I feel like it's particularly hard to deal with resentment in what we do because we work alone, and because a lot of the stuff we do, you kind of do without, you know what I mean? It's kind of like mechanical, and your brain has plenty of time. So I feel like we've all said the word resentful like 30 times. And it's because if you feel that, it really, I feel like for paper flower people, it really has time to marinate and,
Yeah.
So yeah, watch out for that.
Yes.
Watch out for that. You're like seething in your anger, but you're not saying anything about it. You're just making your flower.
Awesome. This was a great discussion, you guys. I hope this opens some ideas. And if you have any questions, comment below. Let us know your thoughts on this particular topic and what have you done for free? Let us know what the result was. Did you love it? Did you hate it? You're never going to do it again? Or there's going to be more of it. So,
hey, Quinn.
Yes.
You know what we ought to do one of these days is figure out some way for everybody to say a bunch of stuff they were paid. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I made about 20 grand for the book, right? I think that information would be useful for somebody else to have to negotiate something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like if we could all talk about what we're making, then we would, you know what I mean? It would be much harder for us to kind of undersell each other or people to play us against each other.
Exactly.
Anyway, maybe that's a thought for another podcast.
Oh, we talk about in Paper to Profit. So I think that's really important.
We do. We talk about, pricing is like one of those really tricky things. But like you said, I think if everyone knew what everyone else was charging, we would have more of a standardized pricing for across, the whole community.
Yeah.
I try to, sometimes I post stuff and I'm like, I could make another one of these if I wanted to. And then I put some absurd price tag on it. And the reason I do it.
People still buy it, right?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, yeah, but sometimes no. And the reason, one of the reasons I do it is so to bump up the market. Like if you look on my website, the one sale you will see is this absurd $400 flower. It's ridiculous. I've never made anything that expensive in one flower, but I leave it up there so that like when people are like, you know what I mean? Like people are looking at numbers, they're like, ooh, I guess this stuff is kind of expensive.
We're a luxury item, you guys.
Well, that's what luxury brands do,
yes.
right?
Yes.
There's a premium to it. And the premium has nothing to do with the labor or the cost. It's the goodwill. It's the branding. It's the marketing, and totally different discussion, but it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And hence why if you do it for free, it might seem like you're not worth as much. Yeah.
Did you guys, I'm sorry, this is the last thing. But did you guys hear about that thing where people will post to Instagram and they're like influencers and then they'll like hashtag like Hermes, or thanks Dolce & Gabbana. And then, so unfortunately, all these Instagram accounts are all these brands have these really half-assed, scraggly, sorry, it's like, I don't like shit. Thank you so much.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Such a great discussion. All right, you guys, we have some more topics that I know that we're going to explore later on. So if you're not subscribed to Paper Talk, make sure you subscribe. Click on the subscribe button and subscribe to Paper Talk. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.